Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Yeah. Welcome to Massenomics, the world's strongest podcast. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Massenomics. Make sure you go visit Massenomics.com. There you'll find the rest of our powerful content. While you're there, check out our store and buy yourself some of that sweet Massenomics gear.
We're gonna go. We're ready to rock. I'm recording. You're recording.
Yep.
You got the right ear hole in.
Yeah, rights and right.
I think only one is gonna work. Is it? Do they both work?
Yeah, I think they're both working.
It must be nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we usually only wear one, though.
Well, it doesn't really matter, I don't think. All right, guys, welcome back to this week's episode of the Massenomics podcast. We are joined. Tanner has made his triumphant return from the land of the hurricanes.
Yeah.
Say hello, Tanner.
I'm a Irma survivor and proud of it. Hello.
Tanner was gone last week. He was replaced by the very mustachioed Ryan DeFay.
His mustache just gets better.
I know. There's a part of me that was like, I was sure that he would grow that and then shave it within like a week. And every day that he has it, I like it even more.
Now it's really developing.
It's a strong mustache.
Yeah.
Like it's not, that mustache isn't kind of in the room.
No, yeah.
That mustache is like calling shots, like.
I wonder what, when he substitute teaches, what his students think when he walks in the room with that.
Is he doing a substitute teaching gig this year?
Yeah.
Again? Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if he got a full-time thing or not, but yeah, that's right, because he did get, I remember that conversation. But, so Tanner, unfortunately, the Bud Jeffries interview got washed away.
It did. I had talked to Bud about it, and it was going to happen. Or
we were really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it still is going to happen sometime because it won't be the last time I'm there, but I was hoping this was going to be the time. But we'll get Bud for sure again. Bud survived Hurricane Irma also, I see.
Yeah, he's been out, looked like he was throwing hatchets at the hurricane or God knows what.
Yeah, and he's a little more inland too, so I don't think, some people there wasn't a huge effect. It was probably like kind of having a storm.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, it's raining and pretty windy, but.
So where were you at?
So we were in the Fort Myer area, I guess.
So you were like in the shit?
Yeah, right on we were on the Gulf side of Florida, the west side of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And we got there about 2 or 3 days before it was like Irma is going to definitely hit Florida.
Yeah.
So we had 2 or 3 days of vacation where we were hanging out, and then every day during those 3, it would get to be a little more like, oh, let's watch the weather. There's this hurricane thing that might come to Florida. And by the third or so day, it was guaranteed that it was going to. But at that point, these also do you know what a spaghetti plot is? Because before this, no one would know what a spaghetti plot is.
Okay.
And now, that's what we watched on the news for 50 straight hours.
Is that where they plot out all of the potential paths with which it could take?
Yeah.
Including where it chooses to go either west or east of the actual.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's funny with these certain events that happen, like this hurricane or when we had the eclipse.
Uh-huh.
There's certain phrases or verbiage that everyone uses when they talk about on TV.
Yeah.
Things I can't remember what it is with the eclipse that we had, but they kept using a phrase that I'm like, nobody says that ever. And now everyone's using it on television all the time because, I don't know,
They've
one
just
reporter
been
said...
waiting 5 years for this opportunity.
Yeah, to bust out this one vocabulary word that no one's ever said before. But these spaghetti plots, they were showing that it was going to go on the Atlantic Ocean side of Florida, which would make it so we wouldn't be in the direct path of the eye of the hurricane at least. But, the thing they're talking is 300 miles wide.
Yeah, it was the size of our state.
Yeah. Florida the peninsula is 150 miles wide ish. Mm-hmm. The storm is 300 miles wide. So kind of wherever it was going to hit
wasn't going to be awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
but it was going to be kind of on the east side. But we did make the call to kind of get out of there before the evacuation was more
widespread.
Yeah. At least that's what we thought.
Yeah.
But no, I guess when you're evacuating 15 million people, that doesn't get done in a day anyway. So that's like a week-long process. They said it was the largest human evacuation in the history of the United States.
Except for, when Moses and the Jews left Egypt.
Oh, that's ancient history. But yeah, the interstate battle, it should have been from where we were at, we were on the trip to Atlanta, Georgia, because our flight was going to go out of Fort Myer.
Yeah, wasn't happening.
And that was going to be Sunday, and by Wednesday or Thursday, we knew that Sunday flight was not going to exist.
And there were none. You couldn't fly.
No, we couldn't get out any. Like, it was a complete
the last
mess.
place you wanted to be was in an airport.
Right. So our flight was going to connect through Atlanta anyways. So we just talked to Delta and asked them, "Hey, we're just going to drive to Atlanta. Can we get on our flight there?" Mm-hmm. And they okayed that. So that's what we did, but it was about a 500-mile drive.
Okay.
North out of Florida and into Atlanta, Georgia.
Which would have been probably like 10 hours.
7
to 10 hours.
7 is what it should have been.
Yeah.
And it took us 16 or 17.
Jesus.
And it was all on the interstate. Basically, it was like we get on the interstate and go. And
go was probably a loose
go,
word.
Yeah, go get on the interstate and don't go. The worst of it was kind of around the Tampa. I think it was close to the Tampa Bay area. Uh-huh. We're not in a town, not in a city or anything. Just in the country on the interstate, an 18-mile stretch took us 2 hours to move 18 miles.
I'd have lost my shit.
Yeah, like that's the longest car ride I've ever been on.
Yeah.
In one stretch by far. I don't think I've gone more than say 10 hours in a day.
Yeah.
So 17 was way farther, but it was also 17 hours of just
awful, frustrating.
Yeah, and I didn't realize what when people talk about traffic.
Yeah.
I have a way different appreciation of what that even means at this point now in my life. Like, it took me till I was 30 years old to really understand what gridlock traffic really is. So his interstate would be 3 or 4 lanes wide, and it would be stopped. And there's cars, you'd get to where there's kind of a curve, and you're like, oh, I can see quite a ways. I bet I can see up there where it's moving. And it's like, no.
It's just not.
It's not.
Fuck that.
And they opened up the shoulder at one point in time. We got far enough, and it was like the middle of the night. Now they said you could drive on the shoulder.
Yeah.
But there was barricades on the far left side, and on the right side of the shoulder was the rumble strip. So it was the most open of the 4 or 5 lanes, but also the most awful and very much the most dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, it was, even though that was the fast lane, and if you're lucky, maybe you're going 40 miles an hour there. But it was sketchy, and there's so many accidents.
Yeah.
If you just jam pack in traffic for that much.
15 million people.
Right.
Yeah.
Every 3 miles, there would be someone on the side of the road that's been in an accident. And we drove all throughout the night. And those rest stops on the side of the road that you normally drive by in South Dakota, and you're like, well, nobody's there. Maybe there's 2 semis there.
Yeah.
It would be like there is not a parking spot left, and people are parked in the grass and camping out there and stuff.
Shit.
Every single one. You couldn't get gas. Most of the gas stations were out of gas, and the ones that had gas were jam-packed in line. I saw a couple arguments of people cutting in line, and stuff. One guy literally got out of his car and went over to the window of another one and chewed the guy out and made him get back.
Really?
Even though it wasn't negatively affecting this guy doing the yelling personally, it just bothered him so much that he went to yell at him to tell him to get back farther in line. So it was, for how crappy it could have been, it went about as well as it could, but still a 17-hour car ride throughout the middle of the night isn't fun no matter what.
How did Jack handle that?
Really well, yeah. So we have a 6-year-old son. So I'm getting cranky riding in a car for that long.
Yeah.
He probably handled it better than me, really well, surprisingly. The biggest thing is he doesn't stop talking, and he doesn't really take naps, so he's gonna
So he probably
talk.
didn't help your frustration.
Well, and we were in 2 separate vehicles for the most part, so I really didn't personally.
It was somebody else's
Yeah,
problem.
but he.
Listen, Grandma,
Yeah.
I need you to take this one.
Yeah. But he actually did do. Somehow he did really well with that. But he made a couple of comments that were funny, like just very matter of factly, not like whining, but like, boy, this really isn't how I pictured vacation. Like, I assumed there's going to be a lot more swimming and eating at fancy restaurants.
It's like, and a lot less days spent in gridlock traffic.
I kind of laughed. I was like, yeah, that's kind of how I pictured it too.
Yeah,
you know?
no shit.
But we made it to Atlanta, and it was there'd be points in time where traffic would open up a little bit
Yeah.
for maybe 20, 30, 40 miles. I mean, it's still heavy traffic, and maybe you'd be getting going like 60 miles an hour tops.
Yeah.
But then also a feature on iPhones, you know how you might look up maps on your direction or directions on your iPhone to check the map, and in South Dakota, they're always the same color.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I didn't realize
it'll change color when the traffic's bad. Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing until then. I was like, what the hell's all these red spots?
Yeah, because here you can get anywhere all the time.
Yes.
Easily.
Literally anywhere, anytime.
Always.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my thing always too. Like when I'll go to a real city.
Yeah.
And I can always measure like whether it's too populated for my blood by the fact that if I ever, even once, am at an intersection where there's like a red light and the light turns green and I don't make it through that. Like if I'm waiting and it turns green and everybody doesn't get through, I was like, this place is too densely populated for me. I got to get the fuck out of here.
There's definitely big advantages to living in a big city, and I understand why people like it and stuff. But when you're not used to it, things like traffic and parking are just crazy to me. Though, like
other people
everywhere,
shitty people
everywhere. Yeah. But yeah, I couldn't take the traffic and the parking myself personally. That would be I couldn't adjust to that. I don't think.
Part of it too, though, is like I think the way we see it versus people that live there too. Though someone that lives in a bigger city, like they maybe aren't getting into the shit all the time. Like it seems like if I'm going to
we're going
a
to
city,
the
it's like
spots
there I am going to a sporting event or going to the busiest
a bunch of
place
spots
to
that
be.
they probably don't go. They're like, oh, why would you go there?
Like a fucking asshole.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like it's like every time I go to Los Angeles, it never ever fails. I'll be like trying to leave like the Venice Beach area and get like out of Los Angeles, and it never fails. I'm like, oh well, it's 5 o'clock on fucking Friday.
Yeah.
You know, and there's just 2.5 hours of shit trying to get anywhere.
Yeah.
That's a good way to make my blood boil for sure. For
No
sure.
doubt. We did as a refugee from Florida, the Atlanta Braves were letting refugees go to their baseball game for free.
You serious?
Yeah.
How did they account for that? Or were they just so bad that there was that many empty seats?
There was plenty of empty.
Yeah.
I think there's no shortage of seats, and they were playing the Miami Marlins also, so it kind of made sense for them too. I think, but they wanted to check IDs. Your ID, make sure you had a Florida ID.
Yeah.
But all of us, of course, have South Dakota IDs, but we just kind of talked to
"Hey,
them
dude."
and said,
Yeah.
we didn't realize it in time. We didn't do it early enough to get free tickets. We'd already paid for tickets, but we got free parking out of the deal. But they would have actually given you both.
Gotcha.
But we had to even haggle them on the parking. Like,
Yeah.
we're from there.
Trust
kinda.
me.
Yeah,
The license plate says Florida.
Yeah,
It's a
right,
rental.
right. Exactly. Yeah. So rent it. It's just when you go on vacation and you probably have like certain accommodations planned for.
Yeah.
And then if you're completely going to be in different cities at different times,
Everything goes to shit.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
a
all
lot
10
of-
times as much money as it should be.
right, exactly.
Did they just nail you on the rental car from Florida to Georgia?
Well, I didn't. That wasn't in my
wasn't-
department,
yeah,
so
you just don't even want to know.
But yeah, I'm sure someone
Someone
did
got
not work out well for someone. But that wasn't my department, so I couldn't say personally. But they get, and like Atlanta was packed because there's so many people from Florida went to Atlanta. The whole city was crazy. We went to that's Coca-Cola's headquarters.
Gotcha.
We went to the World of Coke, which I would not recommend going to that. I thought it was going to be like a little bit cool.
A lot more cocaine-y.
Like, yeah, where's the original formula? But it was very commercial.
Yeah.
Like, it was like you were in a giant Coca-Cola commercial.
Oh, really?
But the cool thing about that is I met Gerald McCoy, who's a defensive tackle for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And what have you ever seen Hard Knocks before? It's the HBO series every
I
year.
haven't watched
you
it,
know
no.
what it is,
Yeah, I know
though.
what it is, yep.
And they follow one NFL team through training camp every year. And this year is the Buccaneers. And that show comes out basically almost live. Like the episode that comes out, like week 1 of the preseason will go on, and then you watch the first. You'll watch that episode like
Right
3 days later.
Yeah,
you know, they produce it really quickly and get it out. So this was right in the middle of their 3rd or 4th week of training camp, and they had to evacuate too. You know, they're he's from Tampa Bay. He lives in Tampa Bay. They got evacuated there, and he is one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL, like top 5. He's one of the highest paid defensive linemen.
Yeah.
But still, people don't know what he looks like.
Yeah, he's in a helmet.
Right.
Yeah.
The only thing, so here, even I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I saw him from myself to about 15 feet away. He was leaning against the wall, and I looked over at him the first time I kind of glanced and saw.
This was at the Coke thing?
Yeah, he was there like
weird-
with his family
yeah.
too. You know, same thing. There's so many people there,
Killing time.
just like, where do we go in Atlanta to do something for 4 days? Yeah, and I saw him over there, and I was like, gosh, that is somebody. I'm sure that's
He's too big to
yeah,
be
it's like,
nobody.
that 6'5", 300-pound black guy with a gold chain on. I'm pretty sure it's somebody, you know. And
So you went up and you said,
well, no, I looked at him for a while, and I was like, and I couldn't place it, and then like we were still standing there, and he was still standing over there, and I looked, and I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure that's Gerald McCoy. So then so I was gonna go talk to him, but I didn't want to go up to this guy and be like, "Are you Gerald McCoy?" when I'm not real sure about it, and have him be like, "Listen, white boy,
listen.
you know." So I pulled up a picture of him, and I'm like, okay, that's got to be him. I'm pretty sure he's wearing this exact same gold necklace as he is right here. So I did walk up to him, and like he's facing directly forward, and I came on to him from the side and said, "Excuse me, does anyone ever tell you that you kind of look like Gerald McCoy?" And I'm pretty sure you could have counted to 2 Mississippi, and he just kept looking directly forward and not responding to me, and I was just about ready thinking like I should turn around and walk away, you know, like he's not interested in talking right now. And then he kind of looked over with a smirk and said, "Yeah, that is me." So I was like, whoo, sigh of relief, you know, that he wasn't like pissed off that I was bothering him.
Yeah.
And I talked to him for probably like 10 minutes, and I was like, why are people not coming up to you? You know, I was like, there's like 5,000 people in here, and no one's bothering you or anything. And
he's like, yeah, you're the only dumbass who wants to fucking waste my time.
Yeah, but he said what we just said earlier. You know, he's like, I'm not a quarterback. You know, nobody.
I'm wearing a helmet
yeah,
all the time.
Yeah. But what he did say is this year, like literally, just starting right now, it's a huge uptick in it just because of Hard Knocks on HBO.
Oh, I bet.
Because he's
then
one of the
getting seen with a helmet
right,
off. Yeah.
right, and he's kind of a character, and he's one of the best players on the team. So it's one of the guys they follow pretty closely on the show. So he said because of Hard Knocks, like that's way more popularity with people than being in the NFL or being good in the NFL ever has got
It's
him.
like Hathor has like a fucking 5 minutes of FaceTime on Game of Thrones.
Right, and then everyone's like, whoa.
Oh, it's the mountain.
Yeah.
Like, ain't nobody called him that before.
No, yeah, exactly. And I did ask him too. What I was curious is they canceled their NFL game, didn't cancel it, but pushed it back to their week 11. So they had to play 16. We'll have to play 16 games in a row.
Gotcha. So their bye week became
week
that
1.
Week, yeah.
So I asked him what he like if that sucks or if, you know, what he thinks about that, and he kind of laughed. He said, I get paid the same either way.
Yeah.
I later did the math, and he gets just about $1 million per game. So I understand what he's saying. Like he gets paid the same either way.
On a week's rest or 2 weeks rest, it doesn't really matter.
When it's $1 million, it pretty much do whatever.
So I have a question. So what is your interpretation? So you so Tanner then posted the picture of him and Gerald at the thing and just said, "Please help me welcome Gerald McCoy, All-Pro defensive tackle of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as the newest sponsored athlete to the Massenomics team." The free T-shirts
And it's like
were just
me in a picture of
just too enticing for him to turn down since his last contract was only for $98 million. And then a little time goes on.
And I did not tag him in that.
Didn't?
Would be worth noting. I didn't tag him in
Did
that.
somebody tag him in it?
Yes. So someone went and tagged him in it.
Okay.
Like I was doing it intentionally, not tagging
just
in
to
him.
be funny.
Yeah.
And then so he chimes in and says, "Really? Question mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. This is news to me." What is your interpretation of that? Did you message him back and be like, "Hey, dude, we're just fucking around"?
I never
You just let
did
it
because
be?
I assumed at that point, like, he's not going to respond. Like, he has enough other shit going on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised he even bothered to make that comment.
Was your vibe that he was like just fucking with you for fucking with him, or was he like,
I
this
wasn't
fucking
sure.
asshole
Yeah.
takes a picture with me and then wants to claim I'm sponsored by him?
Well, that's if he was under the impression that I was being anyone that would follow us would know that you would read that and immediately know that that's a joke.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he might have read it and have no background
No
of
context.
understanding of us and think that I was really like
just trying
doing
to turn a
that.
picture into a thing.
Right. And I thought about explaining that to him too and everything, but I was like, it was like 30 minutes later and thinking he probably already even forgot about this and it would just be wasting my time to even like it would make me look worse if I sent another message, just trying to explain it.
Yeah, and he'd be like, yeah, I get it, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck off."
Yeah. So I didn't, but when I saw that he commented on it, that caught me by surprise a little bit.
Yeah. Thanks, Upton, for fucking tagging him. And that son of a bitch.
When I saw that he tagged him, I was like, oh shit! I was doing this with the intention of not tagging him.
Yeah, no shit.
But to answer your question, I'm not sure. What do you think his tone was of that?
Without knowing the nature of your two's conversation together, I can't tell if it was playful enough. He would have been like, "Oh yeah, this guy's just fucking."
Yeah.
But I also wonder, like, how often they get put in those situations.
Yeah, that might be a real thing that happens.
Like if he just happens to be wearing Oakley sunglasses one time when he gets a picture taken when he's walking in, and if Oakley starts blowing up some shit, fucking saying that, trying to use his name, like, that would probably be a problem.
Yeah, well,
or at least he'd want some motherfucking money.
Right. Well, he's actually a superstar. Like, this isn't our average power lifter thing that we'll do that with.
This
is someone that like does get paid $100 million, and so he looks at it through a different lens, I think, than if we go do this to Blaine Sumner, he's gonna read it and laugh,
Yeah.
and because he knows, but.
Yeah, so I couldn't read whether he was actually pissed or not. At this point, it doesn't matter.
No. And either way, I was like, well, I guess it got him to look at it. So
Did he or did he not follow Massenomics?
He did not.
Yeah. He just fucking high-roaded you.
Yeah, I know.
Big timed you.
Yeah. He's got a check mark by his name even, so.
Do we yet? Do you have one?
No, I don't even know how that. I don't really even know the process.
I feel like I should try to get a check mark.
Do you know what the process is?
I think if you have to ask, you don't deserve a check mark. That's how it goes.
That's what they even say. Like, oh no, we contact you.
Yeah, we'll let you know when we got to put a check mark next to your name.
I think that was really mostly the highlights and the lowlights of the Florida excursion.
Do you know? Did the place you're staying? Did it get wiped off the map?
No, it didn't. It turns out we could have stayed there and been unharmed, but.
There have been power outages.
Yeah,
food
and like
issues.
we wouldn't have been able to get out of there still. It rolled through Saturday, Sunday, and we were wanting to leave Sunday.
Yeah.
So we still couldn't. We would have not died.
And then also, if you did choose to leave a day or two before, if you tried to leave Thursday, or when did you evacuate?
We ended up leaving. So I think we ended up leaving Thursday.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you were out right in front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't want to stay like another day and a half, I don't think, and it would have really been a nightmare.
Yeah. Interesting.
But no, where we were at, there was certainly wind damage, but the flooding wasn't like severe where we were at.
Yeah.
Or,
The condo's still above ground.
yeah, like maybe there's other parts in the city that got it worse, or in the town that got it worse or something, but the house where we stay is fine.
So we'll be going back
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah, so Bud, I'll still be back sometime to get you there. So that does kind of suck. I was looking forward to that,
Yeah, I was too. You packed everything up and took it down there,
Like-
the portable rig at least,
And because we were there for like 2 days, and I was planning on doing it sometime in the middle, and after 2 days, our plans turned into figuring out how the hell we're going to not
did you
be
have
in
to
Hurricane
message Bud
Irma.
and be like, hey,
Yeah, I just
bugging out?
Yeah, get you next
And
time.
was he like, don't be a pussy?
Well, no. But I think a lot of a lot of
People from Florida were like, oh, jeez.
yeah. But actually, it did get severe enough talk. I think there was even people that we talked to that were native Florida that early in the week, they're like, oh, we were here for Hurricane Charlie. Like this,
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
And then
It'll be fun.
And then it had gotten
And then they're like-
escalated to where they're like, yeah, because some of the thing almost became like a lot of hyperbole to where
Yeah.
you're like, I've never heard weathermen talk like this.
Right. They're
know what I
like,
mean? Like,
15-foot swells of
We are,
water.
yeah, we are going to just slap the dick right off the United States.
Yes.
Like, really?
Yeah. So then a lot of those people are like, oh, actually, we might evacuate
Maybe
too.
we should go.
Yeah.
My infant's just not a very strong swimmer. Otherwise, I'd stay.
But then, it did end up in a lot of areas not being as bad.
Yeah.
So,
Could you imagine the rush back?
right. It'd be
Well,
just as bad, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
I'd stay in Atlanta for another week.
Yeah. That was about it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else super exciting that happened, but that was, I think that was about it.
We did talk last week briefly about, we let the world know about your bicep incident at
Yeah.
the strongman competition. How was that on vacation? Or first and foremost, how was that 12 hours later on an airplane
Yeah.
with a partially torn bicep?
Well, see, is tough even just like pulling around a small, I just kind of have to, because we left the day after that happened.
Yeah, and we didn't get home until in
Evening.
the evening.
Yeah, and then
your flight
wake
is
up
5
and
a.m.
go in the morning.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bed, not even sure what it's going to feel like in the morning. Is
Yeah.
it going to be black and I can't move it at all? But it ended up being, it's just at the elbow, the bicep tendon. It was like grade 1 tear, which grade 1 just means the least severe that a tendon tear would be. So basically like 25% of the tendon or less that tore.
Mm-hmm.
So it did get a little bit of black and blue, but it's not like
Didn't
not like
fill
you
it up.
see pictures where it's horrendous,
Yeah.
gross looking, but mostly it just hurt,
Yeah.
and I couldn't, and stiff, like where I couldn't use it.
Yeah.
And every day immediately after, the day immediately after was the worst.
Yeah.
And every day it did
gotten
get
better.
just a little bit better. But it's just a pain in the butt to do routine things. And it's not like it's so bad that I couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's in a sling and people see it's in a sling and like, oh, that guy can't
Yeah.
pick this up,
Someone's still.
Yeah.
Hey, big guy. Want to
Yeah,
get a hand with this?
yeah. And it's like, well, not really. I'll give you like one hand,
Yeah.
But it kind of sucked. It was mostly when I would forget for a split second and make a quick motion.
Reach.
Yeah, and be like,
Yeah.
and then I'd be like, and then you get like a shooting pain from it.
Yeah.
Because most of the time I'm aware of it, so I'm not going over to like pick this up. And
Yeah.
the first thing that I did try to pick up though was like my son, and how you like pick a kid up like this
Yeah.
and pick him up, and I was like, whoa, definitely not doing
Yeah.
that.
Now you just got to grab him by
Yeah.
the throat now. From here on
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Getting the old one arm lift.
But so that's gotten a little better. Well, since then it's a lot better than the day after. But what they say about that, the tendon, the pain will completely go away eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I anticipate within 3 weeks from now, I don't think
Yeah.
it's not going to hurt at all. But the tendon, the part that's torn, won't on its own reattach.
Gotcha.
So like that's just going to be
There.
torn, and so the likelihood, so the strength of what's there is reduced by however much
You're
was
likelihood
torn.
of popping the whole thing.
Yeah.
off.
Because
But you didn't tear this because your tendon was just inherently weak either.
no, I had
because we had a competition.
Yeah,
2
then
weeks
that's
prior.
it's my own fault. Like at least to a good portion.
As much as it
yeah.
would have been for any of us. If
Yeah,
any of
right,
us would have had
right.
it, yeah.
Because even warming up that day, for the full 2 weeks of rest, I felt like trash.
Yeah,
and then
same
even just
here.
warming up that day, I was literally thinking, "Oh, my biceps hurt." I even said that. I was like,
We
this
said
is-
it a lot,
I was
yeah.
like, "This is hurting my biceps,"
When my grandparents from out on the west side of the state were in town, and I went out and talked to them right before the thing, and they asked how I was feeling. I was like, "Yeah, we're pretty fucking beat up from
Yeah.
last week still." Like, I said, everything we're doing here like kind of hurts our biceps, so we kind of stopped. I said, we are on. I told
Yeah.
my exact words. I think we're on like red alert for trying to avoid bicep tears. Today.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's our number one thing. I just get through this without tearing a bicep. And no joke, second event, Tanner, pop.
Yeah, like the very start of and the first event was a very easy event, so it's almost
Yeah.
like the first event
Yeah.
is the first real event.
Yeah.
Like the first event was just a rock throwing thing for distance, so it wasn't
Yeah.
physically taxing. It was like the very beginning of the very first real event. And the first flip, I felt like I say that I can hear it, but I don't know if I can literally
just
there's a
kinda
noise or
echoed
if you
through
can
your
just
body.
that it did 2 of those, where it's like, and I finished and flipped the tire, and then I paused for a second. I'm like, I think that's my bicep, and
Yeah. Haven't done it before.
Yeah, and I'm like, it hurts, but I'm kind of also like have the adrenaline rush at that point in time.
Yeah.
So I tried to pick it up again, and I picked it up a little ways, and it made that noise one more time, and then I was like, oh, definitely, that is definitely what that is now. I can
Yeah.
tell for sure.
Yeah.
And I dropped it, and it hurt right away, but it wasn't like I wasn't like a 8 out of 10 on the pain scale or anything.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a 5 where it just hurts, and
Yeah.
there's no way I could have deadlifted with straps through some pain, but I couldn't have picked up a 100-pound rock.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could barely lift the handle on the car door,
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
which is not a good position to be in when you're trying to be hella strong.
Right, yeah. Right, exactly.
That's the way I felt with my fucking elbow for the last whatever. Is I was like, with those 2 competitions, I was like, I'm trying to be like a strong man, and I can't pick up
Just
my
do
fucking
something
cell
easy.
phone off
Yeah.
the seat of my truck right now.
Yeah, but I need to pick up something that weighs 300 pounds and
Yeah,
is weird.
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah.
So, it was interesting. I don't remember if we got into it much, but like, with like my elbow shit, I haven't deadlifted heavy at all.
Yeah.
In many months.
Yeah.
Like 3 months now, probably. And I hit, what was it, 500?
Yeah, 500 for 6.
500 for 6, which
and that
is
would be like way more than
sure.
you've ever
Yeah,
done
like,
for,
and I think my fucking PR was like 545 for the single.
So why do you think that was?
I've been doing a lot of like Julian's training, which is like so much on like bracing better and protecting the back better. Which, granted, if you watch those 6 lift, maybe only the first 2
Went like that. Yeah.
But and then a lot of like bag work. But the thing with that is, with all this stuff, is I'm actually finding now like my hamstrings. Finally I'm like, oh shit, I'm sore in my hamstrings. Which I
Yeah.
fucking never am.
Yeah.
So, but it's been kind of interesting not deadlifting and feeling like my deadlift is stronger.
Yep.
Which was kind of cool. So that part, that was like the win that I would take away from it. But yeah, it was interesting because I actually haven't trained what you would say is measurably heavy in a long time.
And that was probably
I
like
haven't
the best.
squatted, especially with my elbow. I haven't squatted. I can't even get my hands on even my bow bar right now. So I've been squatting sandbags and shit like that, but light.
Yep.
Doing like sandbags into sled sprints and shit like that.
Not like 5 rep.
However, though, once it's weird because I'm in this hole between with the competition stuff, but leading up to it is I haven't felt that like beat down feeling like you get when you're kind of under a lot of heavy volume.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it'll be good. I'm gonna ride it out for another couple months, probably 2 or 3 months, kind of like that.
Well, you probably don't really have a choice
Yeah, until I can.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that, give myself a little bit of a break, and then ramping up with some, trying to get back under a barbell again.
Yep.
But I had to get we had to put a bunch of beams and posts in the basement of our fucking new CrossFit gym. So, because we basically couldn't drop weights. I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast, have I?
I don't know.
So, like, we basically, we got it. I got everything tore out, demoed, and everything looked structurally like it'd be fine. And then I go and we like 3 days before we open, I dropped something light, like 135 pounds of bumpers from my waist, and right away I'm like, oh,
you could feel that it felt weird.
We can't drop weights in this fucking building at all. And that was bad. Because nobody likes slamming bars more than me. and the thought of dropping even that weight overhead was like
not a good idea.
Not fucking like literally cannot happen.
Yeah.
So we wrote it out for this first, what's it been now, 2.5 months until I could finally get a contractor to show up and do the work. But
so did they get it done?
Yeah, they got it done.
So does it feel different?
Yeah, it's way better.
Yeah.
It still is like, I mean, it's not going anywhere. Like you go in and look at what they did, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like there is no fucking way that you're smashing what's there. You just can't break it. I don't know how you couldn't break it with 30 fucking sledgehammers. Yeah. So that was cool. I got that done this week, and we've been back to dropping weights. But all that was kind of funny because it's interesting because the only people that like complained about that throughout the whole process were people who would like come from our other CrossFit gym in town when we opened up. And they're like, their expectation was they'd be able to drop weights.
They're used to dropping.
But what's
weights,
interesting is like none of the new people,
because they're not.
I just opened up, it wouldn't have ever been an issue whatsoever.
Yeah.
Had I not had some people that had done CrossFit before, nobody would have gave a shit.
Because there's no
expectation. Not only that, if you ask every one of them, would you like to be in a room where a bunch of people are dropping weights? They all would have been like, fuck no.
Why would you do that?
These assholes handle their weight and put it down, right? And so it was kind of funny when I was, kind of diffusing that. About 30% of our clients were like, "Yeah, sweet, we're gonna get to do this eventually."
Yeah.
And the other 70 were like,
"Why? Yeah,
why does that even matter? What's wrong with this?" And I was like, "I like where your guys' heads at.
Yeah.
Making it easy on me."
Do you think some of those will change over then eventually?
Yeah. Everybody likes slamming bars. Yeah. If you don't, once you do it, you'll be like, "Yeah, that's pretty awesome." What does get to be frustrating is people dropping like 95 pounds from overhead, and it's like you should just carry that, put that down under control.
Yeah,
it's one thing like a PR clean and jerk, but like if you're at like 50% of your max, and you just want to go on to the next thing, just set it down. Just because then it becomes a safety issue.
Yeah, I was
shit's
gonna say,
bouncing
flying all over the place. Yeah,
but that was like, man, I can't even count how much sleep that cost me. Because I was like, I signed a long-term lease.
Yeah.
Was like, what the fuck are we going to do here? I'm going to start losing people. At least the beginning, our core group.
Right.
The ones that want to get back to it, they ain't going to stay. So I was very glad to get that done in a couple months.
So you don't have any concern it's just done going forward now.
Frankly, if it fucking goes under now, I've done everything that I could do.
Yeah.
Then it becomes
so there's no point in worrying at anything.
Yeah, now if anything breaks, I'll just call insurance. Yeah, because I've spent many, many, many thousands of dollars
to get it
to be prepared for this.
Right.
So, but yeah, it was pretty sweet. I did though. I was walking around and I was showing a guy the basement, and I walked around the backside, and I was like, "Look at how fucking solid this beams they put in here is." And I wind up and hit it like boom, and pull my hand back, and they had a nail that was punctured all the way through. So I fucking put like a 1/4 inch wide, 1/4 inch deep puncture hole in the side of my fucking hand.
Was the guy impressed? Like,
I was like,
it is pretty
I hit it so hard it did go thud.
Yeah.
So it did just punch right into my hand, and then I was like, that was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Bleeding all over the place. And, but yeah, that's the news down there basically. I did buy have you been there since? I ordered the whole set of sandbags. I also just ordered Julian at StrongFit has the pinkest pink
I've seen
sandbags
that.
you've
Yeah,
ever
it's like
seen.
hot pink. Yeah.
So I ordered a 280 plus, one that you can fill to probably like 360 or more.
Yeah.
Just to have, I want the big pink one to be so gross heavy
that people like it. Most of the time, it'll just sit there.
It'll never be used.
Yeah.
But it had to be.
Yeah.
That one has to be the one.
I
I didn't want like The last thing I wanted was the pink ones to be like the 60 pounders.
Right.
So I want the pink one to be the big pig.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've got all those, and I did get a set of their like 150 foot long fucking rope, which doesn't. I mean, you're just like, you can pass on, it's 150 foot, whatever. So you drag that fucker out. I mean, that is a long ass rope.
Yeah.
That is the worst shit in the world to pull. Also to haul around.
Just the rope itself.
Yeah.
Not like hooked up to anything.
Yeah, just like take this outside and string it out end to end. You're like, fuck.
That's like,
You know what I mean? You got
and that's the workout.
You've got a 50-foot extension cord in your house. I'm certain that you hate to fuck with.
Right.
You know?
For sure.
So now imagine that it's 2 inches thick and 150 foot long.
Yeah.
And heavy. But so that stuff's been fun to fuck with. I got 3 sleds, so we've been doing a lot of that stuff, which has been a pleasant change of pace from CrossFit's traditional, like the traditional impression people get of CrossFit, which is just fast Olympic weightlifting and swinging around on pull-up bars.
Yeah. So is there people that are missing that, do you think?
No, because we still get into enough of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not like it doesn't.
And I introduced the sand. Everybody is doing a sandbag thing at least once a week. Mainly because you just move so well with them. And for new people, I have new people doing sandbag work as opposed to barbell work in the beginning. It's just kind of how I scale it. So
yeah,
it just makes it easier. I have some people
less
who
room for
can't
error.
squat great with the bar or even air squat that awesome. You put a bag, it kind of pulls them into the right position. And I'm like,
just do that.
You're just going to squat with this until you move like this all the time. And then we'll load it heavier and heavier. And when you're ready to take a stab at a bar, let me know. But frankly,
don't worry about that too much.
Yeah, and like there's some people who are new that are coming in who just don't give a fuck at all. You know what I mean? Like if
not that they don't give a fuck, as in
not about
that,
their trainer. Yeah. But if I were to ask them when they come, they just want the end result.
Yeah. Do they really care if they squat 225 on a barbell? Like,
No.
is that what is
And
that
that's
really?
I think that's one of the things I think Julian gets right that I think a lot of CrossFit programs and coaches get wrong. Is like, and I give everybody an opportunity to fall in love with all the stuff that you do with CrossFit. Absolutely. Expose them to it, let them see it, let them try it when they want to try it. But you get some people that walk in and they want a result. Maybe they're not any good at fucking snatches. They certainly aren't going to be right off the street, or maybe they don't have the mobility even to move well with a bar on their back or a front squat or anything. Like, who the hell are we to just like shoehorn them into that?
Right.
I give everybody a bag, and everybody will squat good with a bag and can put in work. What's it matter? And so if you ask that person, how about what about if I never have you squat with a barbell on your back? Would that bother you? They'd be like, no.
And
as long as I get fitter and lose the weight that I want to lose, whatever they want, whatever they came into the door for,
almost
you can give them that without those tools. At least, especially you get it faster if they can't use those tools right.
Right.
Because then you're gonna have somebody squatting with an empty bar. They're not putting in any work. They're not moving well. It's like, here, put in work with this thing.
Right.
So that's what I really, really like it for that.
And for new people off the street, I feel like those are the people you wouldn't really meet any resistance on. They'd be like, well, that makes sense. All right, sounds good.
What happens if you have somebody that's done CrossFit for a couple years?
Then they're like, well, we do this with a barbell.
I'm a fucking pro.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I could make it to regionals if I just improved by 40 or 50,000 spots between now and next year. That's the shit that drives me nuts. Is the people that are, feel like they're going to be making it to the games anytime soon.
Right.
And that's fine if you actually are, but if you're not, you should be aware of that.
Yeah.
CrossFit's to the point now where it's competitive. Like the sport side of it is a professional sport now. So nobody's going to walk into your city league basketball program and be like, my goal is to make it to the NBA draft in the next 2 years. I'm going to work really hard. I got a coach. I'm going to come 3 times a week, and I'm not going to listen to my coach either.
Well, that is what it's comparable, though, too.
It is
thinking that you're going to make the CrossFit Games.
It's actually
is like
no different. Because it doesn't make any sense.
There's enough people in the pool at this point. Like, it's not like there's 3,000 people out doing it.
You're not just competing with fun people that work hard that are kind of fit. You're competing
people
against
that do only that and only that.
So that work
24/7.
That work harder than you. That have absolute elite level genetics.
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
That's putting them in that.
Yeah, they're not like working out like 5 days a week for an hour.
And my thing too is I don't really want I really don't really want my clients training like those people anyways.
Yeah.
Because that's also not very sustainable.
Right.
I'd rather have you train for 10 years and get a little bit better instead of trying to catch all the fitness in the next 2 months and get hurt.
Right. Those guys have
out.
way different goals. Like they're,
Yeah, plus how many of them compete for 10 years?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the competition with I think Julian said too, the competition window where you can actually compete is you've got about 5 years.
Yeah.
Total.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to compete anymore because you're fucking broken and can't handle the volume anymore. It's, all that work is not good for
today.
you. Yeah, it's not good for you. It's good for you to get better at the sport, but it certainly is not good. Like 60-year-old you
Long-term,
is not better off for you having trained 4 times a day.
Right. Right.
And then what the hell are you doing it for? So
Yeah, the people that are doing it and that are at that level, I understand it. Like
sure.
they know that.
They have
They're
to.
like,
Yep.
yeah, but they understand that, but it makes sense because they are at that level. They're like are at the games or like are almost at the games. Then that's just a trade-off that they're making then.
Yeah.
But if you're not there, then what's the
Yeah,
trade-off?
and
Like what do you
sometimes it's people need a real. Well, the other thing is people that are well aware that they're probably not going to make it there or be on that level that still think they should do 2-a-days, or that they're 100 and if you're a man, you're like 160-pound snatch is. Not that there's anything wrong with that being what it is, but like that's not going to get you anywhere. So put the work to get stronger, or just get stronger, but like definitely don't let your ego drag you around.
Right.
Because what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like so do it because it's fun. Don't do it so you can be better than people. I think it was I want to say it was Scott McGee actually who had shared a thing. I'm trying to remember if I screenshotted it or if he had it on my fucking Instagram's froze now. Be a bad host. But it was a thing on like CrossFit as competition or as just training.
Yeah.
And it was basically the sentence was basically for CrossFit as training was like, oh, that was fun. And I think I got a little bit better this week or this month. And then CrossFit as competition is, look at how many people I beat.
Yeah.
And that's really it. And it's
yeah.
like, so which guy do you want to be?
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was funny. But anyway, that's the kind of the dynamic I see with the slam and weights is the people who maybe want to be a little more competitive, want to do the, I won't say traditional CrossFit because traditional CrossFit is constantly varied functional movement at a high intensity, not 40-minute AMRAPs of snatching and catching your breath and doing pull-ups and catching your breath and never getting uncomfortable.
So you're saying by the letter of the law or the definition of the
Using
word
a sandbag
you're
is
doing,
a fucking hell of a lot more functional than pressing a barbell.
But what people perceive at this point
CrossFit,
as conventional
yeah.
CrossFit,
and that's CrossFit HQ's doing.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to publicize the sport because that's their next big avenue for making money.
Yeah. Well, I sometimes think that about the games itself, because I, not in the sport, of course, but I know the definition and stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, well, they do throw in, like what I see is they'll throw in 1 or 2 events that are very crazy and unknown to them. But then a bunch of them, it's like kind of the same thing that they
always do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
and people will say, oh, it's just a good old-fashioned CrossFit workout.
Yeah.
Well, no.
But then by definition, it's kind of not. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Because, like, 21-15-9, a fucking, barbell thrusters and fucking burpees or whatever, like, is that I guess.
Yeah.
Just because it's 2 of the fucking many things. But, there's a lot of things I would define as a hell of a lot more functional than that. The other thing that is frustrating is the lack of intensity that we find. And I don't even know if we've talked about this since Julian's thing, but if you go back and listen to the podcast with Julian and Richard, after that Strong Fit seminar and the Coaches Week, that was the piece he always says is missing now with CrossFit athletes, including games athletes that he coaches.
Because everyone's pacing everything.
Yeah, so he'll have them come out and do, like, I want a 200-meter sled sprint and I want to fucking kill you. and you decide how hard, you know what I mean? You decide if it's going to kill you or not. It's not on the sled to do it. And the more competitive the CrossFit athletes, the less hard they go, because they've like built a work capacity, but then they don't quite stomp the fucking gas. They have that big engine and they're never in the red.
Yeah.
So what they do is they just go to it and they get done and they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was good. And it's like,
But it's
no,
like,
no,
wait,
no,
you
no,
should-
no, no, no.
You can't
Yeah,
be like that.
And my favorite thing with using those tools, and I've done it lately, one, because, you know, if I have new people that come in and they're, especially when I'm doing some squat assessments and things like that, and they end up getting kind of sore first couple of days. They haven't squatted at all, even air squats. They're just sore the first couple of days. And by the second or third day, maybe over the course of a week or two, I'm like, well, I want you to get work in, but I can't have you squat again, or I'm not going to have you do any more hinging. You're still sore from 2 days ago because it's so new. Like, I was like, well, let's go push the sled. You know, like you can get a whole bunch of work in just 90 seconds. But
there's no negative portion of a rep on
and that
pushing the
intensity
sled.
is totally relative too. So like somebody who's totally deconditioned can go just as hard relatively as a very fit person.
Yeah.
They're just moving a little bit slower or with a lighter sled or anything, but like you decide to let that to really fuck that thing up.
Well, like you said, like that really fit, you know, really competitive person, like they got done and said, "Oh, that's pretty hard."
Yeah.
Like, but you're saying they still would. It would have looked like they moved it really fast.
Yeah.
Probably they wouldn't have like been slower than some.
No,
but
no. But
if
it
they
was
could have gone,
not-
yeah,
It was not relative to how hard they could have gone.
yeah.
They gave you 80%.
Yeah. It still could have been, like, the fastest person
and so
there.
what the sport of CrossFit is becoming is how long can you work at 80% of your max output is what that is. 70 to 80%. Can you maintain that for 60 minutes straight?
Yeah.
And that's what you see when these people are putting in all that volume training. You see all these cute workouts like, oh, I did a 45-minute AMRAP of this and this and this. And that's fine. And it sounds like a lot because it is. But, like, trust me, that doesn't hurt as bad as 2 minutes on the sled going until you have white hot fucking pain and you go ghost white and you don't see anything but stars and you cannot fucking stay on your feet when you're done. And the first thing you feel like doing, you have to kick your fucking shoes off for some reason. You know, like that's how you know you went hard, that you can't keep your shoes on. And so that's why I like that though, is we've had people like can go so fucking hard with it.
But they shouldn't be sore at all from that the next day, right?
Never.
I mean, there's nothing to be
The
sore
only
from.
time I ever get, and it's not from the sled, but I've done some workouts just myself where it's like, I'll do like the heavy sandbag and I'll do squats to flat out failure.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you drop the bag, go into a like 100-meter sled sprint with whatever you got left. I'll be sore the next day, but that's from the squats.
But yeah, it's not from the. It's still not from the
Still
sled.
not from the sleds.
Yeah,
and I've got even some newer people that have started who, you know, use the sled and they're like, yeah, not bad, not bad. So that's I like that way of doing it, especially for newer people,
Yeah.
because how many different ways can you get people to put in work that aren't going to risk injury at all?
Right.
You know, when someone's skill level is pretty low, you don't have a lot of tools at your disposal,
Right.
and nobody wants to fucking run.
Amen.
I did have a thing. I while we're still on the topic, I did on one of the calls with Julian. I asked him because I have a few clients with just some running issues, a little bit like foot problems, shin splints, and I was like, I need some tips on like correcting people's running how did I word it? I think I worded it just like I need some tips on running and something about and I didn't do a very good job specifying that it wasn't me. So I can't do his French accent.
Yeah.
First thing he says is, Tyler, you got no fucking business running.
Yeah.
What are you doing running?
Yeah.
I was like, no, it's not for me. It's for a friend.
Yeah.
Asking for a friend. But I did do a workout today that required a little bit of running, and I was not into it. When was the last time you ran?
Like for the sake of running?
Like that running was a thing that you were going to do that day, whether it was a mile or a 400?
And not like pushing,
Not
pulling,
pushing the
or
sled
like.
or anything. Yeah. Just like did a thing where you went running.
No, I couldn't. I used to do that like before every time I worked out, I'd run half a mile or a mile.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, now it's 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Or I would run like 2 miles every day that I worked out.
Yeah.
But that, like I said, that's
Were
like
you
10
any,
years ago.
Were you any leaner then than you are now?
I was less muscular.
Yeah.
Like
Well, that's a
probably
good
like
recipe, right?
yeah, like probably not like the same relative percentage. You know, just less of everything.
That was like one of my favorite things that I saw. I think it was T Nation had posted it recently. I actually reposted it at my CrossFit Gym's page. Was like, if you have to do a ton of cardio to stay lean, your diet sucks.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Like if you're like gotta go running because you feel like you're gonna, like, if you gotta go get your miles in this week to try to keep fat away,
Yeah,
then you're fucking up.
Right.
Because like there is a lot better ways
that's the
to keep.
backwards way.
Yeah, there's a lot better
approaching it.
ways to keep fat off your body.
Yeah, to answer the question, I guess I couldn't
Literally
even say.
never.
Yeah, I couldn't even say. I can't remember. I've like done rowing,
Yeah,
but no running. I can't.
I'd rather even
I,
to get
hill sprints. How about
but
does that count?
That's purposeful.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
that-
count that as just running.
Because like I do those, but
But hill
no.
sprints have a purpose.
Yeah,
I don't believe that going and running 4 miles has a purpose.
right.
I mean, I'm not saying it's terrible for you, but like if you want to get leaner, it's a good way to get skinny fat. Do that all the time. You'll be skinny fat in no time. You're gonna lose all the muscle you tried so hard to get.
Yeah.
So our new resolution is me and Tanner are gonna run 15 miles a week, and we're gonna lose 300 pounds on our total in 6 months.
Sounds great.
Gain 10% in body fat, all around our waist. But well, we're about wrapping up here for the week. Tanner, do you did we get any sweet reviews while you were gone?
If you were to guess how our fans did on the review department over these last couple of weeks, what would you
Listen,
guess?
I really want to give them the benefit of the doubt,
How bad do you want to give them the benefit of the doubt?
but I feel like they were going to leave me hanging if I really defend them. I think they didn't do anything.
They didn't do anything.
Oh, you sons of bitches.
I am
Not
a single review to report.
We could make one up.
Should have done that before we told them.
Read a review from somebody else's podcast. just to
The
get one in.
Massenomics podcast. We had put out the full video of the strongman competition that's out there on YouTube.
Oh yeah, and that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I've gotten
That's
some feedback on that people like actually enjoyed watching that for the sake of
watching it.
Yeah.
That was it's a long video, but it's long like as in like it's a sporting event. Long,
it's like
you know,
45 minutes long, but it's nothing but the
stuff.
that it's
and we do the whole breakdowns of the points and stuff.
yeah.
It's
It's
it turned out really good.
yeah.
I would say it's on par with the World's Strongest Man's production value. More people in attendance for sure.
It's more like you feel more excited to watch. I did have maybe I'll read one of the reviews of that because there's some comments on YouTube about it. If I remember right, it's been a bit since I've checked, but I'm pretty sure there was a good comment. That
I did hear though. I didn't watch the whole thing. I kind of skimmed it because
Yeah.
I was there.
yeah,
But I did hear that my top 2 log presses, the
Yeah.
fucking battery died on the camera.
your second to last one,
And the
it
last
literally like
died.
you get the clean of it,
Yeah.
and then the last round of you and Greg, neither
Yeah.
of them are on there.
Oh no.
That's the only thing that got missed, and then the only other,
well, at least it was my fucking
Yeah.
finest moment.
so that got missed. I think that was a battery run out, and then
Yeah.
the only other thing out of the whole thing that got missed is Ryan DeFay, the start of his Atlas Stones. I think there was a memory card run out in that.
Oh,
Yeah.
we had to quick do a change.
Yeah, so those are the 2 spots. Yeah, so it's literally right as you're cleaning. I think it's
Yeah.
the second to last one. It's like the 280.
So did you put something in there like
Yeah, I put a frame
like Tyler did a really good job.
yeah,
and he
it
was-
does say
he
you
was-
got the 290 and Greg
he was,
missed
he
it.
was really
Yeah.
handsome the whole time.
That's basically what it said. Yeah.
Are you hunting it down or what?
Let's see.
All right, so I'm going to stall Mark Henry style. Talking about those shoes with the shoes, so it's colorful, and half those got the colorful shoes that are the same shoes that probably 20% of the people that squat wear, But for some reason, I've never seen them because I'm Mark Henry, and I have never even seen the Volt-colored Romaleos at all. Did you get it yet?
Yeah, I got it now.
That's
good
how
job,
bad the hosting was at the Arnold, guys.
And this isn't that good, but I've already made it this far, so I'm going to
you
read
really
it.
committed to
But
it.
it's Jeremy Nicholas, and he's a frequent commenter on YouTube. So
Top 10 listener.
Yeah. He said, "You realize how tall Tyler is when he is standing on the podium next to Tanner." And then he says, "Awesome competition. You definitely find yourself rooting for all the guys. Very cool." But I think that's pretty.
That's kind of what the competition is supposed to embody.
He's picking up on what it really is.
Yeah,
I think if he noticed that, I think that's a good sign.
Yeah. But no, that was fun. That was a wrap for our competition season. I don't think anybody's doing anything. Thick Nick's gearing up for powerlifting here in, is it November?
Yeah. Well, we did have a gym member that just competed in regional USAPL. That was this month. Nick was going to do that one, and he couldn't. He had a work thing, so I think Nick still
got that job.
He should, but I think he still gets to technically compete in nationals, so he's probably planning on competing in nationals still, and that'll be Orlando, December or something like that. I think.
Okay.
We did have a guy, Big Dave, competed in regionals, and I think his bench didn't go like he would like to, but I can't remember his numbers. I'm having a hard time remembering, but squat and deadlift went well for him. I think maybe PRs, but I know he had some trouble on his bench. Did Tyler compete
in that one?
No, he didn't either because he's been in Washington State for like the last 4 months for work too. So people with work,
you just got to quit
these
your
jobs,
so
getting in the way of things. Priorities, man.
Yeah. So, well, I think that's going to do it for us today, guys. Thanks a lot for listening. I'll give you the rundown on the things we need you to do. We need you to go to Massenomics.com. There you're going to find our articles, videos. You go to the store while you're there. You can buy all the cool stuff, shirts, hats, including the Weekend Warrior shirt. It's basically the hottest thing out there. There you're also going to find all the archived episodes of our old podcast. You can also find the podcast on iTunes. We would prefer that you leave us a review while you're there, a nice fat 5-star review.
Actually leave us a review. We also can be found on Stitcher, but have no idea how to aggregate reviews out of that. Don't really care. We care that you listen. That's about it. Yeah.
Also, make sure you go to youtube.com/Massenomics and subscribe to the page there. We have the video of the Strongman Showdown, plus all our videos from the Arnold.
Watch I again for the first time watched the Arnold Roundup.
Yeah.
Over
the whole wrap up.
Yeah, but with a little bit of everyone. And watch that if you haven't. It's it's funny. You'll laugh.
We should repost that out.
Yeah, we will.
To
we should.
a few things because that's pretty fucking good.
We will repost that.
Interviews including Hafthor Bjornsson,
Stan
Efferding,
Chad Wesley
Smith, Mike O'Hearn,
Bill Kazmaier,
Pete
Rubesh,
Big Shane Kwasnick, pretty much all the biggest names.
Big ones. Yeah.
So, what else we got, guys?
That's about it. Unless Tommy, did you have anything?
Tommy, do you have anything? I'm Tommy. My hair is so majestic, and I'm so cool. Find me on Instagram, Tomahawk_D. All right, cool, Tommy. Thanks for hustling your Instagram in front of us all. I'm Tyler. You can find me on Instagram at Tyler F. Stone. That's Tyler EFFIN Stone. And Tanner, where can they find you?
The Massenomics Instagram page at Massenomics.
And lurking all over Grindr most evenings.
Mostly on Grindr.
All right,
at Massenomics on Grindr.
Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next week, and stay strong.
You just heard the Massenomics podcast. With your ears, you're welcome. Check us out on Facebook, find us on Instagram at Massenomics, and make sure you visit Massenomics.com and buy some of that sweet Massenomics gear. From your friends at Massenomics Studio, home of the world's strongest podcast, stay strong.